Hello and welcome to Current Issues with me, Tarun. What is the mystery behind Cyrus Mistry's exit from the chairman of Tata Sons? How did this coup happen? And what will happen next as both sides, the Palanji Mistry side and the Tata Trusts, which is headed by Ratan Tata, battle out each other in the company law board? Will the board's decision be final? What will happen as this whole battle unfolds? To discuss all this and more, I have SK Jindal with me in the studio. Dilip Cherian would shortly be joining us. But before all this, a short story detailing out the whole issue comes for you.
Tata Sons, the holding company of Tata Group, in a sudden move on Monday, unexpectedly replaced Chairman Cyrus Mistry with his predecessor Ratan Tata. The change is made even more puzzling by the company, giving no explanation or details about its decision. This is filled with speculation about the decision and what the future might hold for Tata. Who is Cyrus Mistry? Made chairman of the company in December 2012. For sixth chairman of the group, civil engineer from London's Imperial College. Father Palanji was the biggest shareholder in Tata Sons. There was a fundamental disconnect between Mr. Mistry and Tata, particularly with regard to ethos, values, vision and the direction the group was taking. Mr. Mistry's explicit disregard for the old guard in the company was considered overtly aggressive and unnecessary. During his time as chairman since 2012, Mr. Mistry, though, seemed to move into the opposite direction, getting rid of loss-making units and focusing on the stronger core businesses. The plans to sell the British steel plants owned by Tata are part of this trend. And Ratan Tata says something different.
A new management structure is being put in place and a selection committee has been constituted to identify the next chairman in 4 months. In the interim, the board has requested me to perform the role of chairman, and I have agreed to do so in the interest of stability and reassurance of the Tata Group.
Team News World India.
So I go across to SK Jindal for his opening comments on this issue.
My personal feel is that this thing is, although a little worrisome, for such a group which is 150-year-old, known for stability always, good practices, continuity, high values, one will always look up to Tata. This incident, we should not panic about it. We need not panic about it, but I personally feel and assume that this has happened because of difference of opinion between Mr. Ratan Tata and Mr. Cyrus Mistry. Maybe there were certain things which were not working out as he wanted them to work out. And this difference of opinion has come to a stage where they have now collectively taken this decision in the board that he needs to be removed and a new person needs to be installed in his place so that group can be taken forward. The performance otherwise was also not very great, not very good. I understand the revenues were dropping down. At the same time, ROI, return on investment for shareholders, was also not improving vis-a-vis as you see other corporates in the corporate world, how they are performing. So it was worrisome. And what is most important is the thought process. If the thought process is progressive and good, then people have more confidence in the top management. But suppose it is not working out and thought process is not in line with the board itself, then there has to be some differences and there has to be some solution. So I think in the longer term interest of the Tata Group, now they will take a decision of better quality. A person, they have the whole world from where they can choose a new person, not necessarily from India alone. There have been instances in the past and there are many examples where people have been taken from abroad to run such a large group of companies.
Okay, I take your point.
So they have the whole world for them from where they can select their new choice.
Okay, Mr. Jindal, I take your point. I'm going across to Dilip Cherian for his opening comment on whatever happened since yesterday. Mr. Cherian, what do you think, and as you have seen this whole thing unfold since yesterday?
You know, in many senses, those of us who were watching carefully were caught by surprise to some extent, but there was an air of predictability to this. For the last 3 years, there have been murmurs that equations between Mr. Mistry and Mr. Tata were not great. Also, it is clear to those who've been watching corporate practice within the Tata house that the constitution of Tata Trust was changed and Ratan Tata was completely in charge of the trust. This gave him an upper hand as far as dealing with any CEO or any chairman was concerned. To my mind, this has elements of 3 things. One is that there was distinctly a change in style of working, which is perhaps not something that Mr. Ratan Tata was used to or happy with, and therefore his teams were unhappy with it. Second, that there seems to be something which the House of Tata is extremely anxious about, because it is not in their style to have a guillotine kind of exit for somebody. Okay. The third thing is there clearly was reason to keep the Prime Minister informed. This is extremely unique coming from the House of Tatas, to have an internal corporate decision in a sense appraised to the Prime Minister. So all 3 things are fairly unique.
Okay. Dilip Cherian, you've seen and tracked corporate houses for the past 30 years, known many of them. What is a sense that you get? Because there is a lot of talk that the Group Executive Council, which was constituted by Cyrus Mistry, which had N.S. Rajan, Nirmalya Kumar and Madhu Kannan, was slowly embracing into a very tight hug, or started controlling the CEOs of the companies who were satraps in their own right, and controlling them and objecting to their decision making, and they themselves took an element of decision making in the GEC. Do you think an all powerful GEC for a conglomerate which has got 100+ companies, for a conglomerate which is into so many businesses that it numbers more than 125, do you think it is easy for a small GEC to control so many companies? Do you think that was also the reason? Because it is said that in internal communications, Mr. Tata has indicated that he wasn't happy with the GEC or its way of functioning. It also says that GEC was disbanded as soon as Mistry's exit was announced. How do you see all this?
I think that a well-distributed group of companies like this must allow a large degree of autonomy to individual managers. But having said that, there is no doubt that Cyrus Mistry's management style was much more centralized, and perhaps this is what Mr. Ratan Tata had hoped he would not do. But Mr. Ratan Tata himself had made significant changes to the nature of management of the top Tata companies when he took over. So I think that the GEC was in some senses a new innovation by Cyrus Mistry to find ways of keeping a kind of centralized control, whether it's of values, whether it's of notions of profitability, etc. But I think that the winding up of the GEC shows that Mr. Ratan Tata probably was listening to the sounds of CEOs in far-flung Tata empires who were unhappy with the fact that they were being supervised in far greater detail than they were used to. But is it a huge difference from the past? No, it isn't, because Bombay House has always had a kind of patriarchal approach towards the companies, even though CEOs are allowed to run their ships in much the manner they want to steer them in. But I do agree that the winding of the GEC is, as you pointed out, a very clear signal as to something that Mr. Ratan Tata may have found unacceptable in the Cyrus Mistry school of management.
Today, I'll go across to Mr. S.K. Jindal. Mr. Jindal, today, Mr. Ratan Tata on Tuesday today addressed CEOs from all Tata Group companies. They were also told and communicated that the GEC stands disbanded. It is no need to mention that these 3 people who constituted the GEC were not called in the meeting at all. They were saying that there is no need for them to come. What is the indication that Mr. Tata is giving? And do you think it is highly unusual that the chairman of Tata's Sons has been removed or ousted by a 6-0 vote while 2 abstained, and that to a 15-day notice which was mandatory was not given? Do you think that things had come to such a pass that such a decision had to be taken?
You know, I think that a well-distributed group of companies like this must allow a large degree of autonomy to individual managers. But having said that, there is no doubt that Mr. Ratan Tata had hoped he would not do. But is it a huge difference from the past? No, it isn't, because
This is very surprising, and this is not a good sign as I look at, but at the same time this GEC, it seems, was giving a lot of discomfort to Mr. Tata. He didn't have confidence in that. That lack of confidence also could have been one reason, that he was not comfortable and no confidence, and that distrust that this will work or this will not work in the interest of the group. So these things perhaps gave him this motive to remove and disband the GEC also and change the leader also, because when you see something is not where you are comfortable with, and if you have the power to change it, then you use those powers to change it. This is what has, it seems, has happened. This change of bringing Mr. Cyrus Mistry at that time 4 years ago, this did not go well. So he was perhaps watching for all these 4 years.
But Mr. Jindal, there is one more point I want to ask you.
The way he is functioning,
Mr. Cyrus Mistry was not new to the Tata Sons board. He still is part of the board. He is just not the chairman now. Now, since 2006, he was inducted in the board. He was very well versed with how Bombay House functions, how decisions are taken at Tata Sons, and he was actually in a way groomed to take the position, because from 2006 to 2012 March, when his appointment announcement was made, he was there as a director in Tata Sons. Do you think something seems to have gone wrong after his appointment? Because like he was handpicked by Mr. Ratan Tata himself, something at a personal level, something at a working equation level seems to have gone wrong. Could that be the reason in a sense?
As I look at, after 4 years of his top level appointment as chairman of the group, president of the group, he was calling the shots, and now perhaps he thought that this is the way to go forward. This kind of changes are required in the current environment. These are not the same environment which we had 10 years ago or 5 years ago. Environments have changed. One has to change with the environment. One has to work accordingly. The new systems has to be formed. You cannot live with the old system all through. So that kind of change perhaps has not been approved by Mr. Tata, and he found that results were also not coming as they wanted. Revenue is less, income is less, only 2 group companies are doing very well.
Yes.
So all these things, when something goes wrong,
I take your point.
These kind of things do happen.
I'll go across to Mr. Cherian. Mr. Cherian, there is an instance that is spoken about more so since yesterday about Mr. Ratan Tata's meeting with the Japanese ambassador, specifically in light of Docomo suing Tatas in United States and demanding close to about 8,000 crores. Do you think mishandling such things, or this is one part of it? Second was the sale of Tata Chemicals urea business for 2,500 crores. The Dhamra port owned by Tata Steel was sold under Mistry's watch. The Nano project was abandoned. Restructuring of Tata Motors was on, but when we speak to the soft side of it, there was a lot of criticism of Mr. Tata in the way he acquired, so to say, Chorus when the commodity cycle was at its peak. $12 billion was spent. Do you think the kind of criticism or the kind of optics that were shown that, you know, Tata's actually rose from $6 billion to $100 billion conglomerate under Ratan Tata's watch, but not exactly profitable? Do you think all this affected?
सुनाई नहीं दे रहा कुछ बंद हो गया.
I think Mr. Cherian can't get through. I'm going across to SK Jindal for his comment on the same issue.
Yes, Tarun, I heard this. I would like to agree with what you are saying. When things are not going great, time is not going great, things are not going great, such kind of things do happen. People get little panicky. The board itself, that why things are not working out well, and in such stages this can go to this extent, which is a very unprecedented kind of thing for a company like Tata, and it's a big surprise that they will also be in such a position to take such a decision to remove him all of a sudden. So these kind of things, whatever you have mentioned about this Tata Chorus thing also, and Nano thing also, all things were not working out well. So all these things, they disturb and they make you uncomfortable, and then you have to take some decision somewhere to put the things in right perspective.
Now before I go to Dilip Cherian, we'll play for you two comments made by Harsh Mariwala of Marico and also of TV Mohan Das Pai, ex-director with Infosys, on this whole issue. It's here right before you on the screen. There is one school of thought that says Mistry should have done much more. There is another school of thought which says he's done too much. I really don't know what is the thinking in Tata Sons board, but I thought he was on the right track. This is what Harsh Mariwala, chairman Marico, says. While TV Mohan Das says, what is the board doing? I don't think it is done anywhere in the world what you call to back a chairman who's gone. He's retired and close to 80, and back and choose a successor, especially to replace the person that he himself had chosen. This is what TV Mohan Das Pai says. And we go across to Dilip Cherian. Dilip Cherian, in addition to telling me what you make of these comments, I would also want to know from you, there is a talk of a meeting that happened between Ratan Tata and the Japanese ambassador in the light of the Docomo fiasco, in which Docomo is suing Tatas for around 8,000 crores. And there was a sense of acrimony as they say that Tatas didn't handle this whole Docomo issue well, and because of a certain stance taken by Mistry, Ratan Tata wasn't happy because he was trying to talk of a conciliation and a conciliatory note, while Cyrus Mistry was of a different approach. Do you think the way with which one approaches things would have an impact on such an important issue, or could this be one of the thorns?
There's no doubt that there is some international factor which is part of this decision by Ratan Tata to sack Cyrus Mistry. Whether it is the Docomo deal or whether it's something to do with Chorus or something to do with any of the other deals, there is no doubt that the Mr. Tata is personally quite anxious about some, shall I say, fallout of something that's happened globally. There's no doubt, and on the Docomo matter, that the stance that the House of Tata took after Ratan Tata's departure, that is Cyrus Mistry's approach, was much more tough and much more aggressive than Ratan Tata would. In fact, there are some who believe that Ratan Tata himself was, in a sense, blamed for the situation into which the Tatas found themselves at the end of the negotiations. So I think that Cyrus Mistry's decision, which was to go into litigation and all of this, which resulted in what actually happened, was much unlike what Ratan Tata would have done. As far as the comments of both Mohandas Pai as well as Mr. Mariwala, I think it is quite surprising actually, and it tells you how non-independent perhaps the board is, because it's a reflection of the fact that only 2 abstainees and no real voting, as it were, on this matter. It is very, very odd that a chairman who has been selected after a global search. Don't forget that Ratan Tata had actually instituted a global search, at the end of which they found Cyrus Mistry, who was on the board all the time. So this smoke screen of a global search is now again being tried. So I'm sure that the board must have understood that this is in a sense a repeat of a drama that they've seen before.
Okay, Mr. Cherian, a very quick follow-up question would be on the question of image. If we could pan and see the past 3 years media coverage, and in a sense that the comments which were made by Mistry, be it tough love, be it talking in sense of the group, aiming for revenues. Ratan Tata gave a target of $500 billion by 2021, and Mistry actually giving indications that he was rather in favor of companies showing profitability and earn their growth rather than pumping in money into loss-making ventures. And also a lot of criticism in the media about decisions taken like the acquisition of Chorus in 2008-9 at the top of the commodity cycle for $12 billion, which many believe was top dollar, or a huge amount was paid for an asset because anyways market was buoyant and the commodities prices were really high. Do you think all this criticism also played a part where the predecessor's criticism wasn't taken too kindly?
there's no doubt that you're dealing with an extremely sensitive ego here. Ratan Tata's reaction and the speed and the manner in which it has been done clearly shows that Mr. Tata was extremely anxious about the fact that his image was being sullied by Mr. Cyrus Mistry's aggressiveness. And Cyrus Mistry was clearly a man in a hurry, and he was a man whose ego in some senses was not linked to the size of his top line. So this was in contradiction to the previous philosophy. I'm not sure which philosophy is right, but clearly Mr. Mistry was flying in the face of decisions which had been taken over decades by Mr. Ratan Tata. So was he a man in a hurry, or was he a man making many more mistakes? It's difficult to make out. But there's no doubt that the clash of shall I say, cultures was manifesting themselves in the way these decisions were being implemented on the ground.
Okay. I'll go across to SK Jindal. SK Jindal, in a sense, Cyrus Mistry gave an indication, JRD Tata's approach of soft love. He talked about his approach of hard love, wherein he's actually indicated hard decisions need to be taken. Hard decisions actually followed. The urea business was sold for 2,500 crores. Tata Steel's Dhamra port was sold. There was talk of Chorus being sold. In a sense, we got an indication that Ratan Tata wasn't happy with the kind of problems that Tata Group faced in UK, be it the pensions issue, be it the issue of the much publicized Chorus or Tata Steel UK's acquisition, and now Cyrus Mistry's attempt to aggressively try and pursue a sell-off or a JV, it wasn't appreciated. Do you think that the decisions that were taken by Mistry, or decisions that he was taking, were not in line with the vision for the group that Mr. Ratan Tata had laid out?
I feel so. These differences and this difference of opinion on these issues, they really make a difference. And especially this Docomo issue also included with what all you have told about Chorus and other things. Docomo issue handling on arbitration front, it is not appreciated by them, Mr. Ratan Tata, and that has also caused perhaps he's not happy with the thing. So all these things, when things don't work well, they become larger than they are. Because Docomo, if it is 8,000 or 10,000 crore, for Tata kind group of companies, they could have handled it. Although I'm not saying that they should have gone for this arbitration and they should not have gone for reconciliation. As in the world, the current situation is, reconciliation could have been a better option as I look at it. But
okay. No, moving to my
they
round
have
of
not gone
closing
for it,
comments.
and they have gone for arbitration, and now they
point.
award in their face. So all these things.
Moving to my round of closing comments, because we are running out of time.
Things are not
I take your point, Mr. Jindal. Dilip Cherian, I would like to ask you two things in addition to the closing comment. You can quickly speak on all three. First aspect would be change of working style. What do you feel? Second, what would be the impact on the image of the group? This news has made headlines, be it the UK, be it America, everywhere this is in the headlines. What impact will have on the image of the Tata Group? And where is this headed? Because both sides have headed to the company law tribunal, the Mistry side as well as the Ratan Tata side. Where is it headed, and what do you foresee in the next 4 months for the image, for the working of the group?
I think the first thing we have to keep in mind is that Mr. Ratan Tata has re-established that he is the owner of the group, that this is a Tata group. The second is that he has really shown that decisions have to be taken very quickly. Now this is something that actually Cyrus Mistry has been doing, but clearly the style and tenor of what he is doing is different. And the third thing is that if this battle rages on, it is going to have a very negative toll on the image of the Tata Group. The world is watching. Today everything is actually visible, and there's no doubt that companies will also find themselves on a sticky wicket if there is a long, prolonged battle between the two major shareholders of the Tata sons.
Okay, I take your closing
In addition,
comment.
the thing that we have to keep in mind is that a change of managerial style is absolutely necessary, and a more global style is called for.
Okay, I take your point. SK Jindal, very quickly, your closing comments on this issue.
New president will have to be chosen in the next 4 months, and I think they will be careful in choosing that person with whom they will be able to work in the same thought process, which should be comfortable to the major shareholders. Second thing is, legal battle is not a solution for this. This can spoil the whole thing. They have already lost on the reputation front by these kind of events which have unfolded in the past and yesterday. So that should not be taken as a route for this, because they will it will lead them nowhere to fight it legally.
Okay,
so
I take your point. There is no way out if you go legally, and an amicable solution has to be found out between a shareholder that owns 18.5% and trust which owns 66% of Tata Sons. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen, on this debate. We'll continue to track this issue for you on News World India. Thank you.